Well, hello and welcome from Bahrain. It's now actually the evening before the race. I actually flew out on Tuesday, arrived here late Tuesday evening, so I just kind of got a taxi to my apartment block and just got myself settled. To be honest, I've just kind of been pretty focused on the race ahead and just making sure I'm as prepared as possible. So I've not really done too much filming. But anyway, I'll just talk you through the past few days. So yeah, as I mentioned, arrived Tuesday, late evening. Luckily, James Scott Farrington, another British pro, was staying in the same apartment complex as me. Totally coincidental, but pretty handy for me as he had a car. So he's very kindly ferried me around the last couple of days. So Wednesday morning I woke up and we headed to the pool and got a swim session done. And then we came back, then we kind of packed our bikes into the back of the car just because where we're staying is pretty busy and not really conducive to riding. So then we kind of like drove out 20 minutes or so to a bit more of a quieter area where there's also kind of designated cycle tracks, and we kind of just did an hour and a half spin with kind of 4x5 minute efforts at kind of race intensity. And then we kind of drove back, had a bit of food, and then also just did a kind of half an hour steady run that evening. Then on today, which was day before the race, I walked down and did the swim familiarization that they'd put on for us. So just did a kind of steady 1.9k. Then we went for a coffee, and then I came back and just kind of sorted out my bike, just making sure everything was ready to go before race day. Quickly went out, did a 20-minute run before coming back, grabbing my bike and then going to rack. When I was heading over though, my brakes seemed to be rubbing quite a lot, so I had to quickly nip to the mechanic and get those adjusted. Thankfully it wasn't too busy, and yeah, it was done pretty quickly, so I was able to then just rack my bike and get back to get sorted. Well yeah, race day tomorrow, and it's a pretty early start, 6:20. The gun goes off, so I have to get up around 4 o'clock. The start list looks pretty good, so I'm expecting the swim to be pretty hot. Just try and limit my losses there. But yeah, I think it should be a good opportunity. My training, the build up into this race has been pretty good, so just hoping to execute my race plan as best I could, and yeah, just kind of come away from this race feeling happy with my performance and ending this year on a high. Well anyway, it's just about 6 o'clock now, so just kind of gonna get my final bit sorted before getting an early night. I'm not sure what footage I'll be able to get from the race, but if there is any, it will follow. If not, I'll catch you for the race debrief. Well, that's the race wrapped up, and I'll just give you a quick recap of how the day went. I'll try and keep it short and sweet. Well, where to start? I guess let's start with the swim then. So the water temperature was 24 degrees, so it was non-wetsuit swim for the pros. The gun went off and it was one of the cleanest starts I've been involved in. Not too much hustle and bustle, so you could kind of settle straight into your stroke and not have to worry about other people around you too much. I had a reasonably good start and was kind of on the back of the main group, which was basically everyone. And yeah, kind of stayed there for the first few 100 meters, but was never really expecting to hang with that group, considering the majority of them come from an ITU background. I was kind of expecting to have a bit of a deficit coming out of the swim. As the swim went on, I kind of knew I was towards the back of the field, but I was pretty sure that there was at least a couple of people behind me. So every now and then I'd try and kind of look behind me, but I basically ended up swimming the majority of the swim solo. Only in the last basically 20 meters I felt a tap on my feet, and my first thought was, oh god, is that Holly? Or what, the lead female, whoever it ended up being. Thankfully it wasn't, it was another guy. So yeah, came out of the swim and basically had no real idea how far behind I was. Yeah, never really got any splits out on the course at all. But was with Marcus Herbst, who was one of the guys that I'd kind of pinpointed before the race that I'd be fairly similar to on the swim, and could maybe use him to ride through the field, because he's always typically rode pretty strong in the races that we've done together. I had a slightly quicker T1 than he did, so I was out onto the bike, and I basically rode the first 10 minutes with him behind me. At this point I thought that this must be a good sign if he's happy to kind of sit behind me at that point, that we must be moving pretty well. But after around 10 minutes of riding, he came through and I could noticeably tell that he put a bit of a surge in. I kind of gave myself a time limit to kind of stick with him to see how it went, just because I knew if I was able to hang with him, we should make our way through the field. But yeah, after a few minutes I could tell that he was riding way harder than I kind of wanted to be riding. So I kind of had to make the decision to let him go and just continue to ride solo. My plan going into the race was to ride the first hour or so at kind of as close to threshold as I could, just to try and regain a few positions and consolidate myself in a group. But the weather conditions on the day were a honking tailwind on the out section, and then we'll be coming back into that. So I kind of wanted to have something in reserve for that way back. I didn't want to overcook it and be crawling back into the headwind. So I kind of backed off the power a bit because I was holding good speed with the hope of keeping my powder dry for the way back. Even though I tried to keep some power in reserve for the way back, I still ended up really struggling, and I basically had to use this Serbian athlete I'd caught up with for the final 20k just to get me back to transition. I had a plan going out onto the run just to try and settle into around 330 to 335 kilometer pace, which would get me within like the 113 to 115 run split range. And the first few k I was kind of at that 135 pace, which I was pretty pleased with and was hoping to build on that. But I ended up kind of settling into 340 kilometer pace, and I pretty much held that for the majority of the way around the run course, and ended up crossing the finish line in 12th position. So even though I didn't quite execute the race I feel like I'm capable of, and my race didn't go exactly to plan, I'm ultimately pretty satisfied with how it went, and believe I have ticked off the main aim of coming here to race, which was to meet the criteria the British Triathlon set out for me to be able to renew my professional license for next year. So yeah, I'm happy to have done that, but at the end of the day, it's not kind of where I want to be. I want to be competitive within the professional field, so plenty of work to get done over winter. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you for the next video. But now I'm going to enjoy a bit of downtime.